this year we had the opportunity to go to Dayton. This was my first
yeah,
time,
exactly. Yeah. Robert's first ever trip to Dayton. I've gone a bunch since. I've gone every year since 2012.
Subtle flex.
But well, I mean, but only twice as a spectator. But Robert, this was his first time going, and what a week! And we have you guys to thank, especially because, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we something that was different. Instead of just going to the lot, which was its own thing, right? We got to go to a bunch of rehearsals, and one of the rehearsals we got to go to was Rhythm X.
Yeah.
And that was partially because, it was definitely because you guys gave us the hookup in terms of introducing us to their staff.
Yeah, and I want to thank you because initially Evan kind of hooked it up for us. He'd done some behind the scenes stuff, and then as the day got closer, I'm like, dude, can you double check? And then he didn't hear anything, so it's like when we get to the X rehearsal, we're like, we don't know what to expect. Are they going to kick us out, or what? But it was cool. Yeah.
But also here's what we understand. We understand that X is trying to win.
Yeah.
And we wanted to visit them. We went to visit them the day before prelims. So it was like their last full day of rehearsal, right? So we had no idea if they were going to be like, we're busy here, like you guys can, but they were incredible. Like it was really great. They totally invited us into their space. Their space was incredible, like the camp that they sort of rehearse at, that they have access to. But what was really fascinating, what I was really thankful for was getting to see what they were working on in those last moments. A lot of it is the same. Like when we went to go watch Infinity, one of the people in our crew, one of the people in the Marching Vlogs crew, was somebody that Sergio and I had taught at an open group in Southern California called Meraki. So he had independent open class experience, but not even a full tour because of COVID. And when we went to the Infinity rehearsal, I looked at him and I was like, so how do you take this in? Like you're watching a world group, trying to get Dayton clean. And he was like, this is like a more intense, highly more focused version of what we were doing, like it's not this whole other thing,
right.
Which I think kept it really accessible for him, like something that we talked about before. What I thought was really interesting when we went to X was they were cleaning ticks and stuff like that, but we watched them do an entire block where the focus really was, emotional authenticity, investment in the performance, and really bringing that out. Where sure they made some adjustments with regards to ticks, pointing things out and stuff like that, but it was already being executed at a pretty high level. It was more about conviction, believability, consistency of performance, player to player, and I do think that that's something that when you get to their level, right, that does become the focus that last week.
When they step on the floor from the word go, can you just feel a difference in what they're doing? I remember, we talked about a lot of that stuff when we were in it too, when Mike and I were in it. I think X is for sure definitely upped the game from an organizational standpoint and just like how efficient they are and how, I don't want to say focused because there's always focus, but it's just a little bit different vibe. It's more professional, I'll say. Mm-hmm. As the years go on, they just get more and more and more and more professional in how they carry themselves. But I know I heard, or maybe I saw a post too that I want to say it was Tim Fairbanks made about performance quality and stuff. And I think that was honestly, for most groups, the biggest jump that they had to make.
Right.
Because for almost 2 years straight, they've been wearing face masks. They've been wearing this, like, how are we going to emote? How are we going to translate this vibe, this feeling to the audience, to the judges that we want to get across? So that was probably the biggest hurdle that they had to do. Like you go to their first show, it's like, oh, your kids don't perform. It's like, well, they haven't had to. They've been wearing face masks for 2 years.
Right.
And then think about a lot of the high schools. None of them, even at the world level, hardly had any kids that had been to Dayton for that trip, so they don't know what to expect.
Gone up and down that ramp. Yeah. Been in that type of
I don't even think the center for X had ever performed at Dayton.
Right.
Wow.
Ever.
Right.
wild.
I don't think he had.
Dawson, I don't think he ever had, because 2020 was his first year, I think, in indoor and Rhythm X, and that got canceled, and then 2021 didn't happen. So you have like the center of an ensemble. It's like, first go, here we are.
Is there even any video of like 2020X other than the crashy bongo?
Yeah, there are some like pretty early season videos.
Yeah, they're obviously like, very early.
Like, let's cut. Let's not watch that.
But like for us when we went, we got a good grasp of the California groups. But so we really wanted to see like groups we don't get to see, like United and
Monarch was the other group that we got to go see. We got to go see them semis night, which they also had like they were sort of back in the forest, sleeping in cabins, I think. Yeah. It was a really, really, thank you to,
huge shout out to Taha, Dre, Sean Parra, and all those guys.
And George, their director.
Yeah, George,
And everybody on all the staffs for being so gracious, inviting us into the space when you're trying to do the thing, when pressure is the highest. But also, I think some of them even used it. Like Taha.
I was going to say, they probably used it like, all right, these dudes are here to film it. Like, it's almost a performance opportunity. Right. The Rhythm X staff has always just been like that too. I mean, obviously those guys are like, I would consider friends now. Like Tim, Andrew, Tim, Josh Brickey, like Adam Norris and Jared Andrews, like all those people that teach in tech, Chelsea. But they're just like the same kind of vibe. Like, they want to give the kids the opportunity to present what they've been working on. And after a couple years of just not being able to do the thing and really have it out there, like, let's get as much content as we can. And also like give these kids like a little bit of pressure on them. Like, how are you going to perform under when the thumb is under you, pushing back? Like, let's see what you got. It's similar to like that audition experience we talked about part one, like way back when you go to a drum corps audition. Like, how are you going to act under pressure? Right. Are you going to play clean? Or are you just going to freak out? Like, I might as well get you exposed to it now than on Saturday.
Yeah, all those X dudes, all the X guys were cool AF. The ones we were with, because we get there and there's like a tennis court area where they're rehearsing in, and we're like on the outside, and it's like just kind of hanging out,
just sort of lurking.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I knew like a couple of the guys from the bass line from Blue Coats, so I'm like, they see me and I'm like, hey, hey, do you think it'll be cool, or
This guy. So after going to Dayton, all I got to say about this guy is, I am never going to underestimate his ability to become quick, fast friends with anybody in any situation to gain us access anywhere. Because here was the test. So we obviously make lot videos, right? And so the lot was this whole thing of like, we know that it's going to be us. It's going to be everybody. It's going to be all the fans. It's going to be sponsors, right? And my litmus test is, can you get behind the pit? Can you get that level of access? And this guy was literally behind every pit, talking to caption heads and techs like, oh yeah, and like talking to them about like when they marched and like all these like memories and like things like that. And it was and to the point where by the end of it, sponsors were asking Robert to take videos for them. Like, because
you guys got put on the Vic Firth duty, didn't you?
Yeah. I got to help Vic Firth a little bit. They were short of person, so I jumped in there. But it's like, I'm like, I don't want, because I wanted to see VIP, so I'm like, dude, as long as you get me out by VIP. And shout out to Brian Stockard, because dude, I got it. He made a call over there, so when I get to VIP, he's like, yo, you Rob? Yeah, come on in, man.
Oh yeah. But Robert, what was that week like for you?
Like, dude, it was cool, man. Like I was saying, like the X guys. So we get there, and George kind of pushes me through the gate to go talk to these guys to see if it's all right to go film. And I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm this, drum corps coffee shop and this. And I'm like, is it cool to film? I'm like, they're all, yeah, come on in. So I was like, yeah, it's sweet. And then we're doing this showcase tonight. I'm like, wow, even better. So
right.
So we go to the showcase, and they're like, so we went to X, then we went to Infinity, then we went back to X. And they have the showcase going, and I'm like, can I put like my mic and a GoPro? I don't want to be too intrusive. I don't know these guys, like not like the Southern California guys, but they were cool. They let me set up a couple GoPros and my mic, so that's how I was able to get the multicam vid. So I got the rehearsal one, and then I got the showcase video that I still got to put together because I just haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Yeah.
So then we go to
you guys were grinding,
dude. We were. It was
like he literally still has videos to edit, which
dude.
is
I have
incredible.
a ton of stuff to still like warm ups and
I'm not gonna lie to you. Evan and I had tried to hit a bunch of different groups and stuff semis day, and then we were inside for a lot of finals.
Dude, we gave up.
Yeah.
I think Robert, I think you cloned yourself because somehow every lot we ended up at, you were at one.
Yeah.
We'd go somewhere else, and before we knew it, the next one we got to, you were already there, set up, somehow taking video. I don't know if you can teleport or there's like three of you.
I just have like a system, you know, like I try to be as mobile as I can with my stuff. And, you know, I joke with some of the other guys. I'm like the Dollar Tree guy because, you know, you see these fancy setups with cameras. But I'm just there with like my iPhone, the 13 Plus, but it shoots good video. So,
dude, heck yeah. I'm not going to downgrade what the sponsorship companies do, but I would say sometimes they actually like over edit the stuff. Maybe, and I like what you guys do because it's just like it's a little more raw.
There was the lot was nuts as far as the types of equipment we saw people walking around.
Dude, finals day was like the nuttiest. Yeah,
there was a guy, and we found out. I think ultimately I figured out he had some kind of affiliation with Sherwood High School from the Pacific Northwest, who I think they won or they did really well in Scholastic Open. But so there was a guy. He had this 360 camera on a pole that had microphones coming off of it. So it looked like a little like cell tower. And he would basically just walk up and in the middle of somebody's like warm up, you know? And I'm like, what is this? So he has these like 360 immersive experience videos now up on YouTube where you could turn your phone and just face wherever you want to face. But there were dudes walking around with wagons with their equipment in it. There was one dude who had a camera on a pole that was like 10 feet in the air, and he had his monitor down here, and he was just like, he was next to me in the Cap City lot, and he was just like, I mean, what's amazing is that none of this was around when we were coming up. Maybe even not to the degree when you guys were coming up.
It wasn't even we were coming up.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a smartphone on tour my first summer.
Right.
Me neither.
Yeah. The main thing I always do, though, is I always ask first. Because you'll see people, they don't ask, and they just like, you know, I want to at least have the courtesy to ask. And if they tell me no, it's not a biggie. If they just, some groups...
Nobody is ever going to tell this guy no.
No, I mean, if it's just a GoPro and the recorder, I'm good with that. And then I'll film it.
Maybe one group.
But having that
maybe
level...
one group, yeah.
Having
Whichever
that
one I didn't get a chance to
having
go
that level of respect, right, for what's going on and having a certain amount of awareness as to like, you know, we understand what you're trying to do here. We don't want to mess that up. But is there a place where we can be that's not going to be intrusive? Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, though, what was the week like for you?
Dude, so, and we talked about this a little bit on our own, but just being in front of live drum lines again like that was the first show we went to all year. Like, I know you guys did some of the SCPA stuff and WGI California stuff, but like I didn't go to any shows until finals. And the last show that I really went to, I'm not really going to count 2021 because it was weird. The last show I probably went to was like DCI 2009 or WGI 2019. And even at that, I was a staff member, so it was different. But just hearing live drumline, like as soon as we got up Friday morning, so subtle flex, like it only took about 2 hours and 15 minutes for me to drive Mike and I from my house to Dayton. But when we got there Friday morning, we just got out of the car and we walked over to the lot and we just walked right into it, like people drumming and just like, man, we're back. Like This is what it feels like. Mike got sunburnt because he's fair skinned.
I messed up.
Sucks for you.
I messed up.
But it was awesome, man. Friday, just hitting the lots, listening to everybody drumming, and Saturday was the first time I've ever watched Independent World Finals because I've always either just been in it or teaching.
Right.
So that was the first time I've watched it, and it was just such a treat to sit there and watch. I think I watched from 13 on whatever Vigilantes was. I watched from them to the end. So the weekend was just awesome. We got to meet people like you guys that we've talked to like in chat, but not in person. Mike McIntosh, we'd done a podcast with him, never seen him. Ben Piles. I don't remember who else. Alan Ungst. We'd never met him in person.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bunch of people.
Who else?
The weirdest thing, you talked about the recognition. Probably one of the weirdest thing, and I think Rob maybe mentioned this too when we were briefly talking to him in United's lot, is like people be like, "Oh, you're Drum Corps Coffee Shop," or people be like, "Oh, you guys are doing the podcast," and I'd be like, "Yeah, we do the podcast," and like some kids were asking us to take like pictures with them. I was like, "Well, this is really weird."
Yeah,
right.
Very weird. Very weird.
I didn't get the whole picture thing, but like, it was kind of cool and weird. Like, even just like trying to go film some groups. Like the staff members already knew my name.
What did they say at X?
Mm-hmm.
What did they say at X about you?
I don't remember.
Yeah, they were like, you're like, hey, they're like, we're familiar with your work.
That sounds like Tim Fairbanks.
No, it was one of
that
Well,
Fairbanks?
it was one of like the battery staff. But then when Fairbanks got there, because he wasn't there initially, that we were kind of stressing a little that he was gonna like kick us out. But you know, he was cool. we talked about like his Glassman days, and because he was the same generation as us. Yeah.
See.
So,
yeah.
But then like GMU, I want to say it was Paul. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
He came off, dude. I'm hoping it was him because I'm bad with names. But he had like a beard and stuff, and he was like, "Yo, you know, I love the podcast, this, and that." And dude, he just like the nicest guy, and it was a trip because he tuned every single drum in the battery.
That's Paul.
Yeah,
that's Paul.
Every single drum, and I'm like, "Are you tuning every drum?" He's like, "Yeah." It would bug the hell out of me if I didn't do it. But like every snare to every quad to even the basses, he tuned every single drum. And I was like, wow, dude, that's intense, you know. But that's cool, you know. I wish I had those skills. I have no skills, you know. I'm just
so
I could get into like in the lots, and that's about it. Yeah.
Do you guys trip out on like so you guys have been teaching. You guys obviously marched and stuff like that. Do you trip out on the growth of people like maybe former students marching? Like you taught them in one group, but they're marching in another group, or maybe they're instructors now. I don't know if you guys are that old. Does that experience trip you out at all? Like when you're walking around the lot and you're seeing, you know, or are you just taking the groups in?
Dude, I think it trips me out when I see people I march with teaching and like what they're doing.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Like we marched with Travis and Dan, and now they run GMU and Crown.
Right.
I'm just like,
wild.
I'm just like, all right, cool, good for you guys.
I marched Blue Coats with Taha from Monarch, and he's helping run and teach that group.
Right.
I don't know if he helps run it, but he's definitely involved in a big way.
Oh yeah.
I don't have so I've only really ever taught high school. I did an independent world at Tate's Creek Indoor one season, the season after Evan taught a season there. I think you did 13, Evan, and I did 14, I think what it was. Either way. So I don't really have the experience of like, oh, I taught this person and now they're teaching this group or whatever. So I've been I never got into the whole like teaching independent groups kind of game. There's none real close to me. And then I just got busy with school, went to graduate school, that kind of stuff, and just never got into it. But I love teaching high school, and a couple of my kids from high school that I taught have gone places and marched a little bit. But now definitely it's still though weird seeing guys you marched with run groups, and it's like, this is surreal kind of.
Yeah, it creates like these levels to the community, right?
Yeah.
Where like you perform and you think it's one thing, but then you don't realize that once you age out and you walk into any event, literally there's generations of people that you're going to know. Like how far back do we go, right? Like I was filming MCM, and I'm staring up at my viewfinder, and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and it's Sean Vega. And I didn't even know Sean was in Dayton, at the time. And Sean and I marched together for 2 years, right? So we're friends from way back. And I was like, boop, I stopped the recording, and I'm like, yo, man. And so we just had like a nice little lot conversation for 10 minutes or something like that. But then like you walk around, and I'm going to Monarch, and one of my former students is snare tech there. Like, or I show up to Infinity Rehearsal, and Ryan, who I taught a really long time ago, is teaching there. And then for me, it's like, and this is probably like because of the whole Southern California thing, right? And it's just like seeing kids that you helped make the groups that they're now marching, and just that whole, it's such a rich experience, that just makes it a whole thing instead of just showing up and feeling like an old timer, right? aged out now me for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert for you guys. Those first 10 years go by slow, but the ones after that go by fast.
Yeah.
You're gonna find that out. Yeah.
It's all right.
So
can't stop it. So Rob, like, we're talking about like this lot and like going around and experiencing all these people and like just all this recognition and stuff that we have. It was Rob's first Dayton lot. Were you shocked by the number of people there, like anticipating it, or like what did you think just walking around the finals lot?
Finals lot I thought was nuts because all the cameras and the setups, and like George was saying, the guy with the big long camera. And then I always joke with George that he's usually, you know, I edit all my stuff, but George is like first to market with his videos. But there's that one guy from Florida.
Oh yeah,
Alexander Nguyen.
I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised you guys were like, I haven't seen any Striker Infinity videos, because that's he's a Florida guy, and that's all that dude
YouTube
posts.
algorithm works in mysterious and weird ways.
But he shows up to the lot, and I'm like, uh-oh, because you were talking about like Rob cloning himself. I'm like, are there more of you? Because literally that first, and he had figured out a way. Don't want to put him on blast, but he had figured out a way to hook into UD's Wi-Fi. So he was uploading stuff from the lot
as he's going. Yeah,
he just had his little phone on his thing.
He's a Dollar Tree guy. Oh, I was gonna say he's a Dollar Tree guy like me with just the iPhone.
Super simple setup,
and
but
gimbal,
it's just like let's get little clips of this group, of that group, and
it's about first to market.
First to market,
lot videos
really
and stuff.
That's what I was doing.
We took some Semi's videos on Evan's phone. He has a newer iPhone than me, and I was like, hey, I don't want to focus on just trying to get lot videos because there's plenty of people here already doing it. Like, if we can get a few, cool, we'll throw some content up of Semi's like that night to get some shameless views pretty much, and just let people see that didn't get to make it to Dayton, like what's going on today. And we didn't make a big point of it, but Evan was uploading videos from his phone like as we're walking around the lot. I think his like 5G or whatever was good enough to just take it and put it right up there pretty much.
That's awesome. Yeah, first to market, there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
With lot videos.
The Wi-Fi where we were staying was horrible.
What Wi-Fi?
Right.
It was terrible. It was beyond terrible. Like AOL dialed.
I bought I bought a 50-foot Ethernet cable just for this podcast.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, no, it was Amazon. It was $12.
Oh, good. Dude, that's good.
So let's talk briefly, because I know we're running long on time, but let's talk briefly about the season ahead.
Wait. I want to talk a couple things before we leave Dayton. Dude, I feel bad because I didn't get a chance to get MCM, and I kicked myself. Cap City was another one because I saw their show Finals Day. Just like, I know pirate bootleg videos don't exist, but maybe they do exist out there under catchy titles that are online.
Or Google Drives.
Yeah, or Google Drives, which you're probably going to have to hook me up with. But
he's got everything.
Oh, sweet. But, dude, that Cap City Finals night, I got it from your podcast because you guys were talking about it. You didn't spoil it, but then I go watch it, and the show was titled Mother. And it just, it totally, the read on everything was good. The guitar player that they had was excellent. And then that ending, I was like, just speechless. And just stayed with me for like, I want to say a couple days after I saw it on video, so I can only imagine live how it must have come across.
The arena was,
I feel like the
uneasy.
arena was
uneasy when it ended.
So let's spoiler alert. If you don't want to know what it is, don't listen for a couple minutes because we're going to talk about it. But spoiler alert
find
over
it on YouTube.
Yeah, the spoiler alert over, dude. I guess so. It's about like a pride of lions or something like that. I'm assuming that's what it was, you know, and they're guarding their young. And then the beginning was there's a fight and some of them get killed and dragged off. And then the end comes and you could say the younger ones are promoted to like the motherhood because they put on the skirts. At least this is what I'm getting from it. So so then they bring out like this. How old was that the kid, the performer?
I don't know how old the kid was. I would guess he was like 4 to 5 range, maybe 6 at the most.
And they're protecting this kid. Yeah. And then the Marauders come back and there's a fight. And then all of a sudden they just start throwing blood, like fake blood through the air and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, I'm going to start crying, man, because it was just so. I'm seriously tearing up.
I think that show is loosely based off of one of the directors, Donnie Ross. Like his mom who had like passed away, and like his relationship to her, and just like how much of an impact she left on his life, and just any mother in general, like what she would do to like raise her child and like protect her child and vie for her child. And then at the end, just like the last quote of the show is like, and I would die for you. And like, she goes out like defending for her child.
Dude, it's
it was a pretty heavy mix of like people like being like, oh, that was awesome. And people just being like,
huh?
What just happened?
Dude, and then
like,
the very end is they laid like this gold cloak over the dead mom.
Sure.
And then the kid standing there look. Oh man, it was just.
It sounds like
the kid walks over.
It was very.
It
was very Simba, Mufasa, Lion King-esque.
It sounds like a more extreme version of the end of RCC show in 2012 when you realize that the gift is giving up your life for your child.
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm just tearing up talking about this.
Well,
yeah,
so and this is actually what's really interesting. Like, you guys don't know this about me, but my day job is I work with writers who write for TV, specifically animated television. So these creative conversations about like this is why I loved like sort of talking about design and like things like that, because there's something about when you create something, which all these designers are doing, right? It's a work of art in this particular venue, and there's something about authenticity, right? Where regardless of the literal interpretation of the show, if the show is meaningful to you, right, in a certain way, that like you just revealed has some specific personal meaning to you in your life, people can tell. Maybe not everybody can tell, but people can tell, and it's that thing that makes you like, again, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Like, it's like that kind of thing, or it makes you angry, or it makes you really happy, but it almost transcends intellectual understanding, and it's more of just this feeling.
Emotional.
And I think that there are, I mean, and I know specifically from knowing the designers personally that I know that they're doing that. Even if they're not, you know, putting it on the web page or on the Instagram of like, this is what our show's about. A lot of them can't help themselves, you know, and a lot of the really successful ones who have shows that really connect with people and they seem to really like them for who knows why, right? It's because they're tapping into some very, very real things that are, you know, important to them and really specific to them, and putting it out on the floor. And some of it is too hard to even reveal and be open about, you know, but they still do it. But I love it when designers do that. I wish more people would, because I think it's something to be celebrated. I think I think that's part of a basic thing that I think all designers should believe, all ensembles should believe, which is it's okay to be who we are. We don't have to copy anything. We don't have to, you know, compromise that for the sake of like competitiveness or anything like that. Let's just be who we are. Let's just put it out on the floor and get good at that, you know, versus like something else. Sorry for that tangent.
It's all right.
No. I completely agree. I know a guy, he's a friend of mine, and he judges DCI. And for instance, to kind of full circle with that, he told me a story about when he judged DCI semifinals in 2015, and he was talking about the Blue Devil show, that Ink show, and it's like a storybook show, and they're talking about like the end of it, they're reading this story, and it opens up, and he's like, dude, I was on the field, and at the end of the show, like they're talking about this thing, and they're opening this storybook, and all I can do is just picture myself putting my daughters to bed and reading them a story, and I was just sucked in. Yeah. I was like, there it is.
Yeah. What are your guys' plans for this summer? What are you looking forward to? Are you going to be going to shows? Like what's going to happen?
Definitely shows. Well, as long as they're close.
Yeah.
I was looking through the DCI calendar, and actually the other day already looking at like hotels for Indy and stuff. Yep. We're pretty fortunate where we're located for our marching arts. Indy's a 3.5 hour drive for me, 2.5 for Mike.
Less than that for me.
but I was looking at hotels and stuff. I'm a little perturbed about the DCI scheduling and how they're doing the shows. They're very minuscule, and there's like 5 cores at show. But whatever, I'll go to shows. We look forward to like obviously doing the content. I think what I hope to do, and Mike and I haven't really had a chance to talk about it, we're going to game plan for the summer, is maybe reach out to some people and be like, hey, you want to talk about your show before you get out there? Or like,
sure.
What are you guys doing? Like, they do all these bios, like, oh, this is our show, this is what it's about. But like, all right, Colin, all right, Tom, like, what do you guys? What's the vibe? Like, let's go on, let's do a podcast like after the show. So,
but just in terms of the activity, right? This is going to be the first full DCI tour for a couple of years. I don't know. Do you guys even have a sense of like is it just going to be more of the same? Are we just going to be like, let's get back to it? Is there anything I'll start us off with. I always make like one really crazy pull out of my ass, like wild card prediction. This year, there will be a brand new Fred Sanford winner as far as core.
Well, there's only been 5 active core.
Yeah,
as far as active cores goes, there's only
crazy.
5.
Right.
What is it? Cavaliers, Cadets,
Blue Devils,
Phantom, BD, and Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that puts on the table like Crown,
Coats,
Blue Coats, Boston.
I don't want to tell you who I'm pulling for, but
we know you're pulling for.
But I think I have this weird thing. I think I've talked about it before on the podcast where there's this weird thing about winning 4 times in a row. Where if you go back to the history of everybody that's won the award, right, the Fred Sanford Award, after a period of dominance, I don't know that anybody like where they've won like 3 or 4 years in a row. I don't think anybody has won again after that in the history.
Well,
going all the way back.
Well,
Rennick's going to win again.
He'll win again at some point.
I don't know if it'll be this year, but I think maybe it's just spitballing that 3-4 year cycle type thing where you happen to have a class, if you want to call it that, come in to your core of a young group to where they're all close enough in age. They happen to all gel from the get-go, and maybe you're only aging out a few at a time and you're replacing them with really good members. And then after the 3rd or 4th year, maybe if the backfilling hasn't been as successful from a talent acquisition standpoint, you have that one age out class go. And it's like, all right, well, now we're rebuilding. And then maybe another group has really asserted their dominance and they're getting more of the top talent. And I could see how something like that could be the case, but especially in the past, like previous decades of the activity in drum corps, Rennick's won 4 times in a row.
But
he's won 8 out of the last 14.
This is what I would tell you though. Okay. Everybody thought that about Float.
Here's the theory. Yeah, go ahead.
Everybody thought that about Float. And it wasn't just one. I mean, it was definitely, and it was like he had started before that with Spirit of Atlanta.
There are cases to be made that he could have won a few more times.
Right. Yeah. And talent level in 87, 88, 89, and 90 were insane.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is something changed during that era. You know,
maybe the activity leaves them behind a little bit. They get stuck in what's working.
Right. And so something that you guys talked about recently on one of your episodes about Rennick, right? I think this was actually going back to that first episode, right? Where you were talking about the every other year thing, right? Is he has a system. He's been doing it. His lines are, you can see the thread, right? Yeah. Between all of his groups. And you guys also talked about how much body do they do? How much do they, like what is the visual demand and all of that stuff? And they're getting away with doing less of it. But because the musicality is just through the roof and the composition is through the roof, that they're going to win regardless. I can tell you everybody was like, when is Float not going to win?
Yeah.
Back during that time.
Fair.
And Rennick and Float, like, I'm sure that Float was a really influential part of sort of like the beginning, very much there with Rennick at the beginning of
that UNT connection, yeah.
Right, of that career. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but wouldn't it be weird? Wouldn't it be really weird if it did? Where all of a sudden the activity moved on.
I think it's primed for it. I mean, we've just come out of a 3-year
hiatus.
Well, hiatus, like
2.5.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, and especially because, not to like, I don't know, like discredit them, but the Cali groups didn't do anything during 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean,
like,
Blue Devils,
not really.
Blue Devils
not
line
really.
this year is all rookies, like the battery,
except for one
person in the baseline who marched 2020.
Yeah. BD is going to get talent because they're BD, but I do foresee, just based on the experience level, them possibly not being a top 2 or 3 percussion section this year.
And like,
I could see it.
Vanguard, like, yeah, they have a system at UNT that feeds well, but like, they've gone 2 summers without experience at Vanguard, and usually it's like kind of his guys on rotation. Mm-hmm. So I could see it where like East Coast is like, yo, we've been just cranking, bro.
all I got to say is I would love, like, I mean, Boston.
I think it's good for the activity if somebody else.
Boston's going to be jamming.
Agree.
It would be great. It would be great to see Rarick and Blue Coats like break through, right?
Agreed.
But what I would love, and this is something that I'll say, like we talked a little bit about how much I loved like George Mason and what Dan's doing there and stuff like that. But probably one of the most impactful lines that I saw in 2019 was Crown. Because
they're ready to win, man.
Dude, did you see them in person?
Here's what I'm saying. So I had seen, I had seen a bunch of videos, but finals week, I was like, you know what? I should get Crown. So I think I got them. I don't know if it was finals day or semifinals day. I want to say it was finals day. And when I stood in front of them, and this is not something I necessarily get standing in front of George Mason, I think just because of they're not together as long for, all day, every day.
Yeah. But
standing in front of Crown's line, because that line wasn't very big, at least like snares wise. They hit the drum incredible. Like there is a feeling, you can literally feel the air being pushed through the drums and pushed through your body when you stand in front of them. And
they do it at the same time very well.
Exactly. And I would love to see them break through,
Right.
I think
me
any
too.
Of those 3, any of the, obviously I'm a Blue Coats alum, Evan's a Crown alum. We'd each love to see either of those groups win a drum trophy finally. I think any one of those 3 could easily win a drum trophy in the next couple of years. The staffs at all the places are doing the right things. They're getting talent. They're getting the kids to play extremely well. Mm-hmm. The design package is there. From an outside onlooker, it seems like all the pieces to the puzzle are there. So I definitely agree that we could definitely see one of them pull it off this summer, I think, and not have a BD or Vanguard drum trophy.
Like for me, I love Blue Coats, but even more, I love Roger, and I'd love to see him win a drum trophy because he's the bro. We've known him for 30 plus years.
I marched all 4 years at Blue Devils with Roger.
Yeah.
Like we know since we were kids,
There have been so many years since like 2009 that both Blue Coats and Crown have been so close.
Right.
So
just
close.
right there.
Just right there.
They didn't, like 2015, didn't they win drums finals night, but they didn't win the overall thing or something like that? Yeah.
They're have you heard their 15 finals tape?
No. Is it on?
It's crazy.
Is it on a Google Drive somewhere that we can?
It's on my Dropbox.
Was it?
It's on his secret Dropbox.
Was it Prosperi or who was the judge?
It was Prosperi.
I think it was Prosperi. Yeah.
Hold on.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah. I love that. I love that about Prosperi because you know that he knows, right?
Yeah.
And that he's willing to give it to you if you've earned it, regardless of what else is going on.
Regardless of the uniform you're wearing, it's like he's going to call it how he sees it.
Right.
Yeah, they were
regardless of who you are
on the field. 19-7, 2015.
Yeah.
Prosperi.
So.
Yep.
But
they've been both those groups have been.
I'm looking forward to the summer, man. Like WGI is great. I love WGI. The activity has risen so much. But even Fantini and I were talking, like, it just does not compare to the quality you get when you're standing in Indianapolis with dudes that have been drumming for 80 straight days together. It's just not the
The
same.
clarity can't compare. I don't care. Pulse was very, very clean this indoor. And we didn't even talk about what we thought about how the rankings stacked up in this WGI season, but Pulse was really clean. X played phenomenal. Broken City played great, like they always do. Like, I mean, they're all good. All those top 5 groups play really well. You just can't. I'm a drum corps person through and through.
You can't make up for time.
Corps. No, you can't.
It's like I'm big on analogies. It's like the All-Star game is WGI, and then the World Series is like DCI. You know, All-Star game it's good, but it's just DCI is just that different level of competitiveness.
It's a level of clarity that just takes time to achieve, and it just hits different. If you know what you're listening for, it just
the consistency is like not even comparable.
I remember 2013, the first time I saw cadets was finals week, and here's what struck me about cadets, because this was because everybody's quote unquote clean by sort of the average definition of clean that week, but when you get to the point where everybody's playing at the same time, but when you look at the line, and I remember because like cadets, I mean, watching them on video sort of play over their heads and really big, really fast and all that stuff is one thing, but seeing it in person is another thing, right? Seeing the actual how much they have to physically move to achieve that. And then my experience, the first thing that struck me was I cannot tell who I'm hearing when I look at the line. I can't tell if it's this snare I'm hearing or that snare or that tenor or whoever. I don't know, because it all just sounds like one sound.
The consistency of the
and that is a level above what everybody tends to really focus on, which is just playing at the same time, right? Like rhythmic accuracy. But it's just like literally creating that same sound to the point of like, and to that extreme level of like motion and like the amount of sound that they're creating.
To bring this all the way back to what separates the indoor groups into different tiers. The second tier of your 6th through 11th are hitting the drums most of the time at the same time. But you do achieve some level of that balance and blend and sound quality you're talking about in those top 5 groups. That to me is the large. You have some playing consistency rep to rep based on experience level, but overall the biggest thing is you'll hear the balance and blend and sound quality be on a different level beyond just hitting the drums at the same time. Everybody below them is still trying to hit the drums at the same time. Those top 5, most years,
right? You
do have random years where a group in that middle area will achieve really good blend and balance, but on average, those top 5 groups are going to hit the drums at the same time, and it's going to be blended and balanced a lot more often than everybody else.
You had brought up
Jeff Prosperi said in that 2013 cadets tape, he said that's the loudest double stroke roll I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Wow. You had brought up Pulse earlier, and like we had Pulse like almost every weekend in California,
and it was delicious.
And it was
it's like eating at a restaurant. We had it like all the time, and it was great. Yeah.
Something that I noticed about Pulse, and specifically about the fact that this was Zach Wilson's last year with them, and we had basically seen this kid grow up, through Chino Hills and through Pulse and Blue Coats and all of that. I had said this because
I know exactly where you're going.
You had a little get together. We had a little get together here for a bunch of the Blue Coats kids after the WGI West Regional, and something I had told them was, I said, this is the first Pulse line I've seen that is matching what Zach does when he's in the line, because he just innate and natural in terms of how he performs.
Charisma.
He has this thing that he does while he plays that gives it just that extra.
In French they call it je ne sais quoi. And the little extra,
but if not everybody's doing that, right? It can keep you from sort of totally getting there. And the one thing I saw from this line early was everybody committing to doing that, to taking like that extra level of phrasing, that extra level of emphasis, shifting gears all at the same time. Like really being committed to creating that sound,
right,
as much as they could. And it served them well. I mean, they were the cleanest all season long. you know?
Yeah, they really were.
Start to beginning.
From the get-go, man. We saw the first videos of them out here, and I was just like, dude, it's theirs to lose at this point.
And their intensity level at every performance was, dude, they never took any time off, I don't think.
Yeah, and they just got used to it. They got really good at delivering.
If you got to practice how you perform
from the
man.
preview show.
Practice how you perform.
There's a lot to be said about that with Pulse. Yeah.
Yeah, we were all just like, don't peek.
That was like my biggest fear. Yeah.
So here's what's funny is they actually, and I don't know, like, again, this is an outsider's perspective, but in some cases they made their show harder during the season. Like that
if you can,
tenor,
why not?
That first tenor moment, the one with the sort of, they changed that multiple times. There were a lot of different, and the later versions were more difficult than the things that they were trying, like, right away. So I think a little bit of that, and adding body, right, and adding those layers that basically give you something more to do, right, so you don't get complacent, was a luxury they had this year, you know.
I always felt like that was kind of a little bit of the reason why the X staff would continuously evolve our show. Like,
sure,
they just didn't want us to get complacent. They're like, we want you kind of on your toes. Like, we'll give you enough time at the end to make sure it's all there.
Right.
But, like, we don't want you just to be, like, checking out. Like, all right, God, it's the same show I did last weekend.
Right. Hey, guys, really appreciate you guys doing this. You know?
Thanks for the invite, man. It's been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Dude, we need to do this again, like, soon. Because
you guys got to come back to Indy.
Yeah. No, we need to go to Kentucky and go, like, on a bourbon tour or something.
Dude, I can hook it up.
Okay, so
let's go.
You do not know how many guests we've had on that have been like, basically, the interview ended with us saying they want to come do a bourbon tour. It's like, well,
let's go.
Evan's house is very well located.
Yes, it is.
Go to a few of them.
We're gonna have to put that on the when we get the Drum Corps Coffee Shop RV. With our Zymox table, that's gonna like a drumming table that we're gonna have in there.
Eric Schreiber.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I saw. I said that'd be perfect for the RV. We're gonna throw that in the RV, and we're gonna have like a projector, and we're just gonna roll to place to place, showing lot videos before shows and stuff like that. And we'll pick you guys up. You guys could go on the road with us, and
let's do it.
But I will say we really appreciate what you guys do with regards to, like, again, what we talked about earlier, giving that glimpse, right, into areas of this activity that maybe aren't accessible to a lot of the people trying to come up, enriching the experience that all of us have, right, in giving us sort of peeks into the minds of these people that maybe we don't know personally, and just having, like, a record of this time, right, like these last 5 years that you guys have been doing it. You could literally, it's like a time capsule. The set of, I mean, seriously, and these things are important. Like, another 10 years from now, people are going to be looking back from this era going, thank goodness that, you guys did this, that it exists. So, on behalf of the community, thank you guys.
Yes.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. And it's certainly
Definitely
full circle. Like, I mean, we appreciate what you guys do, like being out there on the grindstone and just collecting these memories for the kids in the ensembles that they can go back and watch, which in turn allows us to kind of like give our 10 cents and tidbits on that people can maybe latch onto. So I think that this activity is real full circle, that like people like you guys that are making content, people like us that are just trying to make content just to give back to the experiences that we had, man. It's pretty wild.
And that's like the reason why I make my videos. It's like, because I wish somebody was there to have done it for me when I was, rather than some grainy VHS tape. But then it's gotten to a point where, like, okay, how can I up my videos? And then I started adding the front ensemble audio and everything else. I'll even put like front ensemble pit techs to work. Hey,
see, you guys don't know this. Like, he literally enlists a pit tech to be his front ensemble camera person.
They're my. If you see like a multicam, typically it's like a front ensemble tech. I'll be like, hey, do you mind? And dude, for the GMU one, Dan Shack recorded that front ensemble for me.
Because they know what should be being filmed.
They know where to go when.
Exactly. They know where all the hot points are better than I ever would, But yeah, whatever George says about me, just, he's jokingly says that I don't have all that access like he says. So
you do now.
Yeah, now you do.
Exactly.
Who knows?
I just try to stand nearby. And
this summer, if you're out, people will be like, "Oh, you're
No,
I know
stop. George even has a nickname for me.
He's the mayor.
What is it?
He's the mayor.
The mayor of
The
the
mayor.
lot. Yeah.
The mayor.
No, which is not.
I like it.
We won't even talk
like
about
it.
our parking story for
Mayor Martinez.
So many good stories.
Oh, we have to tell you the parking went off camera, but yeah. So, anyways, with that in mind, before we leave, I want to take a couple seconds I want to thank. Hopefully, I don't forget anybody. The staffs of Atlanta Quest, Rhythmic Force, VIP, United, X, Redline, the Pulse for all the great stuff they let me do. Broken City. Who am I missing? I know I don't want to miss anybody.
Infinity.
Oh, dude, RCC, Infinity. Shout out to Infinity. John Campese, probably the best dressed guy in WGI. That guy is like
giving Taha a run for his money.
Yeah, they give Taha a run for his
he
money
roasted
there.
Taha at Monarch's rehearsal for his shoes.
Oh, I did, yeah. No, but because he wasn't wearing like, you always see pictures. He's always wearing like the shoes, and he just had like regular kicks on, and I'm like, dude, where's the shoes? I totally expected them. But John Campese, his style is just a different from Taha. Taha's stylish, dude. Dan Shack's a stylish guy. That whole GMU staff's pretty stylish, But yeah, thanks for anybody who let me have access. Savitas from Open Class, Bakersfield College. Those guys are always great. I love I'll get up like at 6 a.m. to support Efrain Gutierrez with whatever he does because I love that guy. So, but yeah, if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. But shout out to John Luvera, great dude. Mark Perrett, all those guys. Brian Stockard again for hooking us up with finals tickets. So we got to go see some of the groups there.
Thanks,
at the end.
Brian.
But that's it for me. George.
No, this has been great. Thank you guys for the great conversation, and again, thank you to everybody in the community that has been so great with us, and just great with the kids, and getting back to just creating an amazing experience for everybody going through it at this time. It's awesome.
Yeah. Guys, and anything for you guys here at the end before we
please like and subscribe. Something I'm going
smash
to mention.
Smash that subscribe button.
I'm going to mention something I think is important to point out because we've brought it up multiple times is Apple Podcasts has rated both of our podcasts clean. And clean is forever.
Is that good? Clean is forever.
Clean is most
forever.
important.
Clean is the best hype. Clean is the best hype.
Also, for you guys, I want to give you guys a plug. Lone Star Percussion. What's the code for people to use?
Discount code Aged Out will save you $10 on any order of $50 or more on the website.
Let's go.
Use it at checkout.
Go to Lone Star. They're friends of the shop too, so we support them always.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Dan Wall.
Good place to get your gear from.
Jeff Nelson.
Dan Shatroma.
Yeah.
Or what's
Sean Shatroma.
Sean Shatroma.
That's a hard name to say.
Yeah.
Say it 10 times fast.
Shatroma.
Nope.
Nope. I'm tongue-tied, so that ain't gonna happen.
All right, guys. So, go ahead, George. Do you have one more thing?
I was just gonna say, it'll be great when we finally get to meet in person one day.
Indy.
Let's go.
I mean, I'm booked and ready to go to that. So
I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
I will be there. And
we'll be there.
Yep.
After finals, we can go somewhere and
just walk up and push my camera over if I have it set up like I'm recording somebody.
Dude.
Like knock it.
No, just be like, just like stand right in front of them.
Just
it's been known
really
to happen.
Loud.
Yeah.
Talk really loud, right into the microphone.
So, all right, guys, and with that, that's it for me.
Yep.
George, everybody,
that's it.
Are we good? Is that a wrap? It's only been about 3 hours, but yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. It seems like we just started this 10 minutes ago.
Yep. But, we'll see everybody next time.
We'll see everybody in the lot. Feel free to say what's up if you see us, and look forward to hopefully getting back sooner than 6 months with the next episode. Good night, everybody.
Good night.